Why in a world of plenty are there people who go hungry? It's not because there isn't enough food. Look around and think about it. Here's a hint. It's never the rich who lack food. Hunger has to do with poverty. That's why it's a hard problem to fix. But it's not that we don't know how. Maybe the question should be, how can we make sure that everyone, no matter who they are or where they live, has healthy food all the time? That's what the term food security means. When everyone in a community has access to enough safe and nutritious food. And that's what this program is about. It's hard to imagine that food security is an issue here in Canada, where food is so plentiful. And yet it is. Not everyone can afford the food they need. In parts of the developing world, though, it's a more extreme situation. Having enough food to eat is a daily challenge for many. Mali is an arid, mostly flat, sub-Saharan country in West Africa. It's famous for the ancient university city of Timbuktu and its fabulous music. Nepal, the small Himalayan kingdom north of India, is home to Mount Everest and the highest mountains on the planet. At first glance, these two countries, half a world apart, would seem to be a study in contrasts, but in fact, they share some common features. Both countries have sensitive ecosystems that make agriculture difficult. And although they are both home to rural people who have lived from the land since ancient times, today they are among the world's poorest nations. Many people in Mali and Nepal still struggle to meet their basic food needs. But change can happen in unexpected ways. This is Miriam Oulegam. She grew up in a traditional way in a farming community in Mali and was exposed to hunger and malnutrition at an early age. Then, she did something non-traditional. She completed school, left her village, went to college, did not get married, and came back to do something about the problem of hunger. Miriam has been working with rural people here, especially women, to help them put practical ideas into place to make sure they can grow enough food for the community. To do this, they need water, and that's the catch. Imagine trying to farm here. Drought, soil erosion, and lack of wells make farming unreliable at best, impossible at worst. Food shortages result, and this means malnutrition and poor health. Poor health means you can't work long hours in the fields. It's a vicious circle. Making sure there's enough water for food crops is one way to break the cycle. Working with a Canadian development organization, USC Canada, Miriam's first obstacle was to overcome the resistance of the community's men to working with a woman. Even though women produce half the world's food, only 15% of the world's rural development workers are women, statistics that are beginning to change with people like Miriam. In one village, The men believed their source of water would dry up if women had access to it. When Miriam pointed out that a small stream used by the women didn't dry up, the men finally began to change their minds. With Miriam's involvement, women have now started to play an expanded role in raising the community's standard of living. In this land of sporadic rains, irrigation is needed, but it's expensive. So instead, the community looked for practical, cheap alternatives. Simple techniques, like these mini dikes, make sure that rain, when it falls, is directed into fields where it's needed. Small dams are also being built to create a catchment area for rainwater and to allow for more regular irrigation of fields just below the site. The important thing is that both the dams and the dikes allow local people to control the water that is available for their use. Having access to water has enabled the women to start a market garden and also to sell the water to migrant herders. The garden has meant they can grow food for their families and earn a small income by selling vegetables at the village market. Miriam is helping to ensure that information on water conservation, plant varieties, and agricultural practices reaches the people who need it most. Information means knowledge, and knowledge means power. It's all a part of the process of moving one step closer to food security.